I'm super excited to close out an amazing first day at the Gateway with our panel on empowering artistry, creating in uncertain times. We have three incredible artists, one of whom is still on the way, proper artist time, but we're gonna get it kicked off and he'll make a dramatic entrance soon enough. We have Emi Kusano, we have ThankYouX, and J.N. Silva is on the way. While we kick things off, let's start. Emi, Ryan, please just give us a brief introduction of yourselves and how you got into Web3.
Hi, my name is Emi Kusano. I'm a multidisciplinary artist based in Tokyo, Japan. I've been exploring retrofuturism and Tokyo pop culture. I've been singing as a synth pop band musician, and I was also a street photographer. And I'm a co-founder of Shinsei Galverse, which is a PFP project. We are making anime with an independent studio, and most importantly, I'm a artist collaborated with AI, and my artwork is up there. Yeah, how I got in Web3 is a really unique story. Back in 2021, my son, he was 8 back then. We were talking about NFT on the dinner table, and he suddenly talked to me, "Mom, I want to buy a Pokemon card, so I want to start NFT." And I was like, "Okay." Yeah, I minted my first work on the foundation, but I didn't know what is happening. It's just one-on-one and sold, and I couldn't get to contact with a collector. So I was kind of exploring what is NFT back then. And then my son, he's just promptly started to creating all the zombify animal, and we sold on OpenSea. And actually, Steve Aoki picked 3 of them with 6 ETH. And it went viral in Japan, and it has been a most famous NFT case in Japan. And he actually must adopted all this blockchain art. So that's how I got. And I started my Shinsei Galverse, the PFP project. My PFP is a Sailor Moon meets Akira vibes, very cyberpunk anime. My ideal anime we created. So I found co-founder of Shinsei Galverse through my son's artwork. My son's collector is actually co-founder. So that's how I got into Web3 world.
Amazing. I love the story, and I love that your son has been such an active participant and creator in the space. Get him started early, right?
I know, he was featured on NFT now before me.
I remember when we met, you were like, "You featured my son. Now let me show you my work."
Yeah.
I love it. Ryan, you've transcended so many different spaces, from street art to fine art to embracing Web3. Tell us a bit about how you found your journey here.
I just want to add on top of hers that the way we met was because of her son selling NFTs, because Steve Aoki put us all in a group chat together, and that's how we got connected. So it's very
Sit
cool.
around.
Yeah, Steve. Shh. We don't talk much. No, so my name is Ryan. I go by the artist name ThankYouX, and I'm more known as a traditional artist who adopted Web3 in 2020. My background is graphic design and creative direction. So in 2020, when I started hearing about NFTs, it threw me back to what was happening in 2017 with CryptoKitties. And I looked at that at the time and I was like, that's so weird, but I understood it. And so when I got this, I was like, oh, it's like that, but with art. And it's really just been a fast forward for me into the art world, which helped really elevate what I was already kind of doing for the last decade. And I guess my whole vision for the space for me and my audience, I guess, is to bridge the gap between the traditional art world and the digital world, and make sure that the bridge goes both ways to help NFT artists, known as NFT artists, to bring them into more the traditional physical world, and then some of the physical world into help doing Web3 stuff. So and I'm out in Korea because I have a solo show at Boon the Shop with Shenzige and Freeze, and also partnering with you guys at the Galaxy. The gateway.
We love it. We love it. We are all in the same galaxy too.
Yeah, it was the galaxy.
No, and everyone should go check out Ryan's show. I'm really, really excited to check this out.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes. Amazing, amazing. Well, Emi, we got to meet at Bright Moments Tokyo, and that was really special. And I feel like you were like the breakout star of Bright Moments Tokyo. Like I remember, like I saw your work, and I was like, I think I'm gonna pick one up. I go back, way too late. Already sold out.
Story of my whole collecting.
Right? Yeah, seriously, like that doesn't sum up like Web3 in a nutshell. But that's really special, and I love that collection, Neural Fad. Full disclosure, I am now a collector, bought in significantly higher than at the mid price, but and it's an amazing series of AI photography with like all these throwback vibes, and it's like inspired by Japanese street style, right? And so I would just love to hear, like, you're really like forging a path, in AI art there. What are you seeing in terms of development of AI art, AI photography in Japan, in the APAC region, and at large?
Thank you first of all, thank you for collecting my art. I really appreciate it. It's been so amazing journey to using my prompting to create something I always wanted to. Like, if you look my music career, I dress up like an 80s idol and singing about latest technology. So yeah, search Satellite Yang, my band. I look like my AI art as well. So speaking about the AI scene in Japan, I think Japanese people, I'm not sure if it's all Asian countries are same perspective, but in Japan in general, people are really pro AI and really friendly to technology. I'm also a cultural council member in Japanese government talking about the intellectual property role about AI. But people are really optimistic about how do we utilize this tool. So there's not many backlash. Of course, there are some of them, but there's not many backlash compared to the Western world. I think because of the anime we watch, grew up, is like robots are always friends, not like a Terminator view. So yeah, so and also if I talk about NFT, Japanese people are really optimistic about NFT. They don't have a like Dogen image like Zombie Zoo. My son's art is famous than Brute PFE in Japan. So many people have an image, NFT is like you can sell your art like a free market. So, which is really good thing. So Japan has a huge fan art culture, and they're doing like Comic-Con like every day. So we have an image, Comic-Con every day all around the world. So I'm very bullish on like Asian culture, anime culture with NFTs and AI.
Absolutely, absolutely. You and me both.
I'd love to jump because
yes, please.
I've come out to this is my third time in Korea this year, and what I noticed about when I came out here was the energy around Web3, and so it's not necessarily just on AI, but like it's different. Like the word NFT is not a bad word here. It's like whereas like in America, it's kind of like okay, what's this, but here I feel like it's a new time, and it's like it's more thoughtful, like the process of it. And so I feel like it's a new energy here, and that's what kept me coming back. I was like, there's something special in Korea. So first, Korea specifically, that's the energy that I've felt, and like kind of ingraining myself into the Web3 culture here and meeting a lot of artists and companies. That's kind of what I felt. So yeah.
I love that. I love that observation. And you tend to be a pioneer. You know what I mean? Like you've minted on multiple blockchains. You've collaborated with the likes of Hans Zimmer. Transcending art with music and the like. You recently sent your art to space. No big deal. Hey, let's just dive into that a little bit. Like, tell us a little about sending your art to space, and then I have some more questions.
Yeah. So the conversation happened because I was talking to someone, and they were asking me about, they had heard that Elon Musk had bought a painting of mine in 2017 or something. And when he bought the piece, I was like, hey, can we send a piece to space sometime? And they were like, yeah, no. And so like, that was just like an instant no from SpaceX. And I was like, oh, okay, fine. And so I was telling someone the story and they were like, would you still want to send your painting to space? And I had no idea who this person was I was talking to. I was actually at Freeze LA, and we had a mutual friend, and I just met this woman and she was like asking about my art, and then I told her I love space, and you know, I pitched this idea to Elon and they said no, and then she's like, would you still want to do that? I was like, yeah. And then she just starts texting, and I was like, I have no idea what's going on, but she's like, okay, can you have it ready by tomorrow? And I was like, what are you talking about? She's like, I work with a company called Axiom Space, and we're setting a launch up, and we didn't secure an artist. And hearing what you're doing and knowing your art, I would love to send your artwork to space. And can you ship it out tomorrow? And I was like, yes, I can. And so I shipped out, it had to be a specific size, a 14-inch by 14-inch painting. And yeah, it went up to space on the Axiom 2 mission. And it was actually like the first Saudi woman in space. So that was like a big element of like, you know, achievement. And it stayed up in space for 9 days. It orbited the Earth 135 times. I have like all these cool statistics to go with it. I chose actively to not mint it and just it be a physical piece, because I felt like not everything needs to be an NFT. And I think that's an important thing to notice and realize, like, at least for someone like me who's a painter a lot, not everything needs to be an NFT. And I felt like this didn't necessarily need to be an NFT. Let's just do this own thing. And then, yeah, so it came back down, and we got it, we framed it, and we auctioned it off at Sotheby's auction house in New York. And it was a beautiful, beautiful moment for me, like huge in my career. My son is 2 years old, and he watched the landing live on, like when it came back. And I have video of him watching. He has no idea what it is, but he's just like, oh, and like, but in the future, I'll show him that, and I'll be like, you watched the landing of my painting coming back down from space, like, you know, in the capsule with the astronauts coming out and like bringing the boxes out. So it's a very special moment, like very highlight of my career. Yeah, very special.
That's incredibly special. I love that. I love that.
Oh, and I got to go to Florida in America and see the launch of it actually go to space too, which was an amazing experience as well.
Did it take off on the first launch, or were there any scrap?
So when you go to a launch, they say, it could be pushed back another day or 2 days or hours. And this one, it was flawless. And my schedule, I had to be back. Like there was all these things I was like, if it doesn't happen today, I'm gonna miss it. And I was so worried, and it happened exactly how it was planned, and it was perfect, and everything went great.
I love that. I love that. Just incredibly special, incredibly special. Well, obviously, we were talking also about creating in uncertain times. Not everything goes quite as flawlessly all the time as the space launch. Obviously, it's been a tough year. It's been a tough few months just in general for the creative community, right? We are in the depths of there he is.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the star of the hour, J.N. Silva.
J.N. Silva, make some noise.
Hello, friends. Sorry.
No worries. Artist time. It's okay. That's very on brand for the panel. No. J.N., before we dive into this question, give everyone just a brief introduction to yourself and how you got into Web3.
Yeah, amazing. So my name is J.N. Silva. I've been a photographer and artist for about 25 years now. Before Web3, I was a full-time commercial photographer and videographer, cinematographer. Worked on a lot of video productions and photography campaigns and such. Got into Web3 in 2017. I'm Venezuelan, so Bitcoin made a lot of sense to me as a hedge against hyperinflation. And in 2020, when the pandemic hit, I lost all of my work. And I said, well, you know, I know crypto. I can do crypto from home. And I started seeing the NFT conversation kind of like popping up really early in 2020. And I was like, this makes perfect sense for me. And I dove right in.
Amazing, amazing. Well,
I would also like to add,
please,
that in 2020, I got introduced to J.N. Silva before either of us had actually minted an NFT, and we were fans of each other's work. And both of our first NFTs was a collaboration together that we entered the space together. So it's a very special thing that we have a special bond because we came into the space together at a very like crucial time, you know, for us in the space. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. We're forever bonded by the first collaborations that we
Bonded
entered
on the
space with.
blockchain.
Yes.
Full disclosure, I am a collector of this collection. As
Okay,
well.
so now you're seeing this.
No, incredibly special, and we'll dive more into that time too.
I would also like to add that he's humble, and photography in NFTs was not a thing at the time. That's part of the reason
Facts.
we did work together. At the time, we were looking at the space together and in a Telegram group chat, talking to each other every single day, monitoring every single site, being like, we don't really fit in here. Like, I'm a fine artist, and I'm a photographer. Where is our thing? And I wasn't seeing that, and you weren't seeing that. And so we were like, well, let's fail together, because like either we're not wanted here or not accepted, like whatever. And so we were like, well, why don't we try this together and see if, and then that's how it ended up working out for us. Because without Jay and Silva, photography is not what it is in NFTs. He onboarded the most amount of photographers than anyone, and he was just played such a pivotal role in onboarding not just artists, but like specifically photographers, and has built a community and helped just uplift so many people. So shout out to Jay and Silva for life. Yeah.
Give it up for JN.
Thank you.
I'm thinking back to that time, and I think I connected with both of you on Clubhouse before we ever got to hang out in the flesh, before we ever became friends, and that's a really special time, a really special bond, right?
We were just talking about the Clubhouse days backstage, like how it was just a different time,
It was. So let's talk about the time we're in now too. So as we said, this is also about creating in uncertain times. Right as JN was entering, I was saying, it has been a challenging past year for the creative community. Obviously, we're in the depths of a bear market. I'm curious, how do each of you sort of stay grounded and stay creative in these sort of volatile times, uncertain times, and remain kind of focused on your craft and pushing it forward?
I'm happy to jump in. So for me, when I started doing art as a kid, and then more seriously as a teenager, and then even more seriously as an adult, it was always a thing that I did because I had to do it because I'm an artist, not because there was a financial incentive behind it. So whether there's a bear market or a bull market, my concept is to create based on what I want to create. And I think the financial element was after the creation was made, or the concept was made, to then how do I get this out there, or do I put this out there even? So I think that given it's a bear market, it's just about continuing to create, and it's actually possibly, this might be a hot take, but it's probably the best time to create in a very organic way, because you're not doing it for the dollar sign. You're doing it because you have to and you want to. And then later, it can be something that grows and becomes something bigger that you didn't expect. And I think that you're gonna see the people that are creating right now are the people who are the true people, the purest people, because there's not necessarily this huge number sign or dollar sign connected with what you're doing. So for me, I'm still creating. I think it's just about being more thoughtful and less put out product, and more just why am I putting out product, and how can I tell a better story? Maybe do it a little bit less. Certainly not stopping creating in any way though.
I really resonate your answer. I think because of the bear market, people who loves still creating is remain. All the short-term cash grabber is gone, so which is a good thing. Yeah, I would create something even if there's an NFT or not. I've been creating retro futuristic vibes, music and photography. So just keep creating is very important. Also, at the same time, I'm really, I think it's important to leveraging your rare traits. If you think about what card do you have, you're really RE in AI, you have a PF3 project, or you have an older card and just try leveraging like which field we should go. And like, for example, Shinsei Galverse was a really groundbreaking PFP project. I think many of Japanese people know about Shinsei Galverse because we hit the #1 on OpenSea. So we can say it's big in Japan, and also many of the anime PFP projects are actually not really making anime. So we can say, oh, it's the first handcraft anime studio based in Japan. So yeah, I usually don't say about that tactic stuff in front of people, but it's very important to what's your rarity traits. You guys have everyone has a rarity traits. Like if you compare like some of them, I think I'm the only Japanese speaker in this room or something like that. I am the NFT mom. Maybe I'm an NFT mom, but I do AI and
Shout out to all NFT moms.
NFT mom. So yeah, it's important to leveraging your strongest. Like if you think, if you just look yourself subjectively, like everyone has a super rare trait.
I love that. I love that. JN, love to hear your perspective as well.
Yeah, no, I agree with both of them here. And I think a lot of artists, if you're a true artist, you've been creating just because you love, the art of creation. And I personally have been broke most of my life, and I still created throughout it. So for me, it's not about the financial incentive ever. It's more about just getting what I have in here, all these feelings and emotions, and getting it out into the world. And the art, the fact that I do that's the end product for me. Whatever happens after that is almost just like an addition. And if anything, I'd say that creating in a market like this is actually a little bit easier because you get to tune out all of the noise, right? Like in 2021, when everything was going crazy, you felt like you had to be on your computer, you had to be paying attention because you might miss out on the next mint that was happening or the next project that was out. And now it's a little bit quieter, and you get to really hone in on your craft and create. And it's all about managing and adjusting your expectations. You're not gonna, as he said, you're not gonna be putting out a new project every month and trying to extract value from the people and the collectors. It's more about being intentional with whatever you're making and understanding that it may be a little more drawn out, but the people that are here, the ones that really care about what we're building, and you cater to that and play to your strengths.
Absolutely. I love that.
I like playing to your strengths. That's a good one. And like building on, and you like what you're saying is kind of try new things, like experiment.
Yeah, I love that. I think that one of the things that drew a lot of artists to the Web3 space, NFT space, was the promise of creator royalties. And that has obviously been a major topic of conversation, especially in light of the rise of marketplaces like Blur, the changes in OpenSea's policy. Ryan, I know you've been a very vocal advocate of creator royalties. I'm curious, what are your thoughts on the current climate, and how do we and how does that impact sort of the value proposition for new artists to really enter and embrace the space?
Yeah, trying to be a little political with this one, but I would say that
get real.
I mean,
Ryan's a real one. We know it.
I'm not gonna say it. But, I think that it goes back to what you're saying about extracting, and I think that marketplaces had this situation where them as a business, they saw themselves maybe overspending and not preparing for market fluctuation, and they maybe overhired, overspent, all this stuff. So now they have to play catch up with what's happening in the market. They aren't as liquid, and they can't, not as fluid, so they can't just adjust really quick. They're a little slower to move. So they see a new marketplace come up, and they're changing things and doing things different. And now the biggest marketplace is now maybe losing market share, and now they have to chase instead of innovate and be the one that was chased. So I think it goes, to be honest, I think it's what happened was poor planning from one of the marketplaces and opportunity from the other marketplace. And I think both of those are looked at. They're both a business. So neither of them are individuals or people or humans. They're corporations backed by bigger corporations. So when they look at artists or creators, they don't look at humans, they look at stats and they look at numbers and they compare it to their numbers. So when they decide to turn off the royalty, they have no feeling because they're looking at it from a number, like binary ones and zeros and like bank numbers, blah, blah, blah. And the artists, the reason this space exists is because of humans and feelings and creatives and realness and authenticness, not based on corporations. And so I think somewhere it got lost along the way. Obviously code is law and I understand that. However, I think certain marketplaces maybe didn't have like a duty, but had kind of like a social, yeah, like, I don't know.
Contract?
Yeah, kind of like where they had the opportunity to do something that could forever be ingrained in the space and help the space like long term, as opposed to looking like we need to act right now to catch up to this new marketplace and make sure that we don't sink and da-da-da. But in that process, I think what's gonna happen is the big ship that kind of started it all, they're chasing, but what's happened is now they've turned their backs on the creators, who are the only ones keeping them afloat in this market. So once the creators turn their back on that platform, they'll sink in the long term, as opposed to like making a stance. I get it, they're a business. So I look at them as a business, they look at me as a number or something, you know? So I was led to believe in the space to come in and get creator royalties. To be fair, the way that we entered the space was through a platform called Nifty Gateway. And Nifty Gateway to this day still honors creator royalties. They maybe take a higher platform fee, which could be adjusted, I think, in this market maybe. But I think there's something to be said about these marketplaces like Foundation, like Rarible, Nifty Gateway, and several others that have decided we are gonna take a stand and we are gonna honor creator royalties on this platform. And for me, that's powerful. And I've become a level where I don't have to rely on a marketplace anymore. I can do it on my own contract. So I think in the future what will happen is if you are able to get past the kind of, if you're able to have your own audience and draw it on your own platform, that will be the way. And like you're looking at like what Jen Stark just recently did, where she launched her own marketplace where there's, you know, you can kind of, her future stuff will only be able to be there, you know? So, which I don't think is necessarily the ethos of the blockchain, and I want it to be more of an open, decentralized spot. So it's kind of, you know, I unfortunately think that there's not much we can do. I'm just an artist, a person, and you know, I fought the fight, I lost, you know, or we lost. I tried to do the right thing, but it only helped a little bit, and then, yeah. So yeah, that's all I got.
Well, give it up for Ryan for fighting the good fight.
I tried.
Yeah, when I know about this royalty, I thought it was feature of Ethereum because I didn't know about blockchain that much. So, and I think many of the beginner has a misconception. Oh, NFT is very innovative. You can just contribute to the artist with a royalty. So I feel like this royalty going on are really, I feel like we are going back. So yeah, it's really sad, and it's been really amazing. Many of the independent artist friends they don't have to do client work anymore because of the royalty. So it's very important. I think it's very important. But most innovative part of NFT is we had a token from a long time ago, and we have a meme coin and all the shit coin. But I think the most innovative part is connecting the philosophy. We are supporting artists. So that culture is really important. Like even though they stop royalties, depends on the market, but it's important to have, foster that culture. We are supporting each other. We are supporting artists. So I think, yeah, that's my role to do it, because I can't really make a system or marketplace yet, like Jen. But yeah, I would like to spread this culture.
Absolutely.
One thing I do want to add is that I think that what happened is there's a difference. Forever, there's been a difference between like big collections and then like PFP projects even, and then like individual artists. And I think at some point along the way, there's going to be a separation, because right now you're selling Pokemon cards and you're selling Picassos on the same marketplace.
True.
And that doesn't happen generally. Like you don't go to an art gallery and see a Pokemon card and a Picasso. So I think at some point that will separate, and one will be called one thing and the other thing will be called another thing. So that, I think too, the decisions were made based on the Pokemon cards, the PFPs and the big volume things. But what it's actually hurting is like the independent artists. And to be honest, like the people who are hurt most are like the marginalized artists.
Absolutely. And like Ryan, as you rightfully point out, like Jan, you've brought so many photographers and artists into the space. And I know that creator royalties was a part of the draw for many of those. Like, I'm curious to hear your perspective and how are those artists kind of faring and navigating this sort of change in the landscape?
Yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, it's unfortunate that, it became a race to the bottom instead of a race to the top, right? And once, the one marketplace came out and decided to do away with it, and even, they made NFTs, when it displays on their page, it just shows up as like a title, and it almost became just like tokens and tradable, it became more about the trading financial aspect of it and not about the art. And from there, as Ryan said, I'll say the name, OpenSea had the chance to side with creators, and if they would have done so, we would have, come together and made a huge push for them. And instead, they just kind of like turned their back on us. And at the end of the day, it's hurt everyone. And I think, one of the really cool things when I entered the space was, we were figuring out how to keep our projects going on secondary markets. And we had all these innovative, ways to keep collectors kind of entertained and just keep giving them back in order to incentivize the secondary market trading. And once you do away with royalties for any project, then that doesn't become, an incentive anymore. It's like, well, why would I work super hard to keep this project going if it's not going to benefit the artist at all, right? So from there, I think a lot of artists have now just kind of decided to keep creating with the primary market in mind and not so much building out these longer term projects. And, it's unfortunate that it hurts even the longer, or the PFP projects, it hurts them because a lot of them were relying on royalties to host all of these amazing events that we would have at the conferences. A lot of them were funded, or paying their staff. A lot of those were funded by royalties. And when you take that out of the way, the runway for the projects just gets decimated and there's no way to keep them going. So again, it goes back to then having to come out with other primary collections and keep extracting value instead of creating value. And I think at the end of the day, it hurts us. But I have kind of, faith that developers will find a way to create a new token standard at some point that, will enforce the royalties. And when that happens, I think we'll all move back, because for a lot of us, that was a big draw to enter the space, was the ethos of, getting to have your work live on, and, whenever it passed hands, you got a little cut of it back. But I think we'll figure it out. As always, artists are always adapting to the uncertainty, and whether it's unfortunate, but I think we'll be okay.
Also, keep in mind, the collectors go where you post the link to. Mm-hmm. So as soon as we stop posting the link to that website, our collectors don't go there. Yeah. They're not going to that website and just randomly scrolling around. They're following what we post and what our links are. So if we post a different link, they're just gonna follow the link. So that's where the power really lies. And it goes back to the Web3 ethos, which is power to the creators.
Absolutely. And part of that Web3 ethos is also a more direct relationship between artists and collectors, right? Without some of the intermediaries that have existed for a long time in the traditional art world. I'm curious, what's kind of like the state of the union there? Tell us a bit about how, you create and maintain a collector base for your work.
I have an interesting, I have a show down the street right now, and my works sold last night, and I don't know who bought them. I know one, but like I don't know the other ones yet. So like it's a little different than how it works in Web3, where like the ethos, and it's not like, not always, sometimes it's an anonymous person, but like the ethos is they'll send you a DM, or you'll see on the blockchain like who bought it, and you're like, oh wow, and their Twitter's connected to the thing, you know. So yeah, it's interesting. It's like a fully disconnect from the traditional art world generally. But because I've learned in this space to be able to connect directly with your collectors, like in my contract with this gallery, and they're an amazing gallery, and they were like fully on board, and they actually embraced the Web3 ethos as well. And in the contract it says like there's full transparency of who buys the piece. So at the end we get like a full breakdown of who buys the pieces, their contact info, and it's not to say that I'm gonna start going around the gallery to just cut them out, but like the transparency still needs to be there, because there still there can be an organic relationship. And so, yeah, but that's like one of my favorite things about Web3. Look, there's two different kinds of collectors that I have. It's either purely transactional, and I don't know who you are, and that's cool, you like my work, and then I don't see you or meet you. And there's people who I've become like very good friends with. And I'm not gonna get along with every collector and have the same connections, but there's some who I've become like insanely close with, and they'll never buy another artwork from me again, and I'm not trying to sell them something, but we connected through this thing, and I'll forever be grateful, and it's like, you know, flourished into like a beautiful friendship.
I love that. I love that. Emi, love to hear your thoughts.
I think that's a good question, and I think owning NFT art is like really different from owning physical art. I think all the collectors are part of my creative process. So if you have a philosophy, that NFT can be I'm aligned with that philosophy. So it's really amazing to connect a collector all over the world, and especially people living in not living in New York or London or Paris. It's hard to get in successful in art world, but I'm living in Japan, and like I'm creating from small apartment in Tokyo, but I'm connected with all those collectors all over the world, and I have a show in Korea, and right now Unit London and Christie's. So it's been amazing to, you can see that all the connections with collectors, and this really feels special. And also my Shinsei Galverse, my anime collection, all the holders has a identity with this Galverse PFP, and they're really part of the process of creating anime. So they're actually the creator of our art. So it's been really amazing journey.
Amazing. And JN, I know you've been working on this Buscando America project that is, I know you've put your heart and soul into it. Tell us a little bit about that. And I think we have the trailer we can queue up afterwards as well. But to walk us through it.
Yeah, so I think for me, when I got invited to this panel, that was the immediate thing that came up to mind, because for us, Buscando America is a long-term project that we started working on really in 2020. And it's the idea is to fundraise for a full-length fiction film via Web3 and create this visual ecosystem that spans, from, we shot a documentary in Colombia in 2021 that we just released this year. We just finished work on a short film this year. And the vision is a multi-year vision, so we can't think in terms of market cycles. But obviously, as we're navigating these waters, we have to adapt to the market cycles. And we shot the collection in March of 2020. The whole project takes place in Colombia and Medellin. So we went over there and we did a whole canvassing of the city. We went to every commune, every neighborhood, and we interviewed people from all walks of life. And that's what the documentary is about. The documentary is called Idiosyncracy. If you put idiosyncrasy on YouTube, you should see it come up. And the idea was to come out with a collection from the location scouting and character scouting and have that fund the full-length feature. With the editing of a documentary, editing takes a really long time, and it took us about 8 months to edit it. And by the time it came out and we launched the collection, it was right in the middle of the worst market conditions, and we only minted out about 20% of the collection. And we had this decision where we were like, we raised all this money. We don't have enough for a full-length feature. We have to do something. We can't just not stop work on everything. We made a promise to all the holders and people that supported. So we pivoted and we wrote a script for a short film, because we said, we can't make an hour and a half movie, but maybe we could make a 20-minute short film. And we used all those funds to rewrite a whole new script and do pre-production. And just 2 weeks ago, we shot the short film for 2 weeks in Medellin. And the funds that we got from this project paid for a crew of 100 people. And being down there and having all of these people that were professionals in their craft come up to us and say, hey, this culturally means so much to us to be able to be part of a genuine production that takes place in Medellin with people from Colombia, that is fully funded independently, not by major corporations or major backers that then demand a whole bunch of the creative control, meant a lot to them. And that for me was the most gratifying experience, to have people that, and all of them were like, I don't know what Web3 is, but thank you, Web3, because you paid for this amazing project. And that to us was, the most satisfying thing. And it just, helps us kind of get that energy to keep going. And right now, we just finished the first draft of the short film, and we submitted it to a lot of film festivals. So the hope is to get it into film festivals and keep working on collections. We've done, LiDAR scans of all the locations we did scans of all the characters. And we're hoping to, hopefully one day sell out the original collection, which is 2,500 one-of-one photos. And that will keep funding the ecosystem. But yeah, we have a documentary out on YouTube. We have the short film coming. We just did a collaboration with a very prominent streetwear brand in Medellin. And yeah, we're just going to keep going regardless of market conditions, because it's a long-term vision that we have. And yeah, we have a little trailer that has a little bit of the short film, a little bit of the documentary. We've been featured all over South American news outlets, because it's a new way of fundraising for independent filmmakers, and the trailer has a little bit of everything. So
let's get it. Well, let's get that.
I highly support people or suggest people go just check out the project, and if you feel inclined to perhaps mint an NFT, because I bought some at the original mint. But I'll be honest, I just bought it because I love you. And I was just I was so busy. I'm like, yeah, I'm buying Jan's thing. Okay, I can't pay attention. But just recently, when I dove back into it, I was like, this is such an amazing project. And seeing just all the elements of it. And I just went and bought a bunch of them. And I'm just, I was moved by it. It's a very powerful thing what you're doing. And I just, don't do mint, whatever. But at least go check out the project, because it's a very powerful project. And I think could be a potential path for a lot of people moving forward.
Thank you. Yeah, I think for us, there's a lot of, there's a few projects that are making films and making kind of longer form video projects funded by Web3, but, we all support each other. The Film 3 community is also very tight knit. And my idea is, the first film or short that makes it to a festival, that makes it onto a major platform like a Netflix or an HBO Max, and then you say, oh, this was all funded by NFTs and Web3, that would be a huge shift for filmmakers anywhere, because there's so many people all over the world with incredible ideas for scripts and movies and shows, but they have to go through the traditional film route. And look at what's going on in Hollywood right now. There's all these strikes because it's the financial structure of filmmaking is very unfair. And if we can use something like decentralized platform or structure to fundraise, we'll get a lot more artists making the stuff they want to make. And I think that's important. And there's a lot of stories that need to be told, especially from marginalized communities and countries.
I believe that is our time. I wish that I could do a whole other hour with all three of you, but thank you so much for being a part of this. Give it up for all of our incredible artists.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
아리가또. 감사합니다.
감사합니다.